if we can realize that what we're actually doing when we consciously refuse to react, and when we consciously allow ourselves to forgive, what we're actually doing is we're actually being what we are. And what comes with that is everything. Balance, alignment, harmony, fulfillment, peace, stillness. That all comes because it's all one. Everything is one. Everything is oneness. So you can come at it from one way or the other. You can come at it starting with the I that you are, the I that I am, the I of being. And as you commit and accept that that is your identity, there will be a natural non-reaction. There will be a natural automatic forgiveness. In fact, forgiveness eventually disappears. Eventually, we don't need to even think about forgiveness. It's just, it happens naturally there because we know the nature of this appearing world is dream. It's mental and it's dream. It's not real just because of its changeability. It's not real. So, whatever way you want to approach it, it's all the same thing. But I just think it's good to always bring it back to, as we were saying on the retreat, what are you being conscious as? When you're conscious, as pure consciousness, and the love, the amount of unconditional love that is inherent in that, there's not going to be any seeing. And the more that we do this, the less there is of seeing another person, something separate from allness, something, a condition, a situation. Things happen. Words are said and relationships, go through what they go through, but the context, it's like, as I've said before, we shift our context. The context that we're living out from changes, it shifts, so that we're not looking, we're perceiving more from the truth and less from the lie, the illusion.
Thank you. That feels very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's all about also to bring it into sort of our fundamental experience, right? What normally, as the unawake, as the unconscious, which of course doesn't really exist, but in let's just say in the dream, we start with what is being experienced by the senses. We always start there. I see a person. He said this. It made me feel this way. That's all the testimony of the senses. And what the shift of perception and the shift of context does is it doesn't start there. And as we have said on previous calls, it's so important to be aware of where you're starting from. Because if you're starting from within what the senses are bringing in, all the thoughts, all the concepts, those are all going to have to be dealt with in one way or another. And yeah, there's going to have to be a lot of love mustered up, a lot of forgiveness mustered up. And I'm not talking about the level that you're talking at, Connie, because that's way beyond what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the normal, person out there, man on the street kind of thing, they're always starting with what the appearances are doing and trying to reason it out, trying to account for them. That's a big job. that takes a lot of time. And what I love about the simplicity of truth is that it of course it doesn't take time, because it's not in that, it doesn't acknowledge time. It acknowledges that time is a construct. It's something that was created for convenience sake. But when we start and we have this, you could say, like, we have this intimate relationship with the way things are, we recognize that we have to be what we want to be, instead of thinking that we have to become it. Because if we think we have to become it, and I'm not talking about like a career or a better person. I'm talking about someone who is dealing with a crisis, a health crisis, a relationship crisis, a job crisis. Instead of working from the relative and trying to get back to the absolute, or trying to get back to the total truth or completeness or wholeness, we start with that completeness and that wholeness, and we be what it is we want. We want harmony in that relationship, so we have to be that harmony, which means not accepting anything else. It means not accepting that there is any discord at all. It's our acceptance of the discord that starts the whole thing going. And if you contemplate it, you'll see. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Even a teaching or something you read or hear. Live with it yourself. Question it yourself. Is that what you experience? And then draw your own conclusion from that. But what's been found here is that it's the being and the really the insistence on rejecting anything that has to do with time, anything that has to do with becoming or working in time to produce a better effect, to produce a better result, to improve something. It's simply extracting the truth from any false, what appears to be a false situation, and focusing on that. And when you focus on that, it gets bigger, it grows, it expands, it becomes more real. Whatever we focus on becomes more real. We all know this. So it just becomes this beautiful, simple act of just being and knowing. And no getting up to, no having to work up to something. And something I was going to say. Oh, yeah. So, when we do think we have to become what we know is true or what we desire or anything like that, and even working with a problem or a situation where we think it needs to become better, it needs to be solved, that thinking instantly creates time. That's what puts it there. It wasn't there before you started thinking. Because what's present always, unconditionally, uninterruptedly, is now. So this is the for lack of a better way to say it, this is the power and the control that we actually have over our day-to-day affairs, over what we encounter, over what appears, comes into view of our life. all we need to do is be still, as we always say. But this is just sort of giving it context, which I think is really important, and an understanding of why are we told to live in the now? Why is it so important? And why is it being spoken of and emphasized more than it ever has been, which I've always thought really would be great if that happened. And I see it happening more and more. But that's it. We start the creation of time by ignoring presentness, by ignoring the now, and thinking that there's something that needs to happen, that perfection isn't what is here. And same with purification. There's all this talk and lots written about how we have to purify. We've got to get rid of the old in order for the new to come in. And that is a way of saying it, but the simple truth about that is the real purification is the realization that you are already pure. You are already as pure as that dove out there that just spoke to us. It's not a working up to it. It's not shedding layers and layers of the onion skin. There is no onion. There are no layers, and guess what? There is no onion either. You see, there is no lie. And that just reminds me of a line in the last Sunday's contemplation. And I'm probably not going to get it exact, but it talks about that. There is no lie, so why reprimand the liar? Why waste time? Why waste your consciousness and your life force with dealing with something that simply does not exist? And of course, the realization is not only that you are already pure, but so is that guy that you're having a difficulty with, or that woman, or that child, or that coworker, or that friend that you're having difficulty with. They are also already pure. And it's the constant and consistent acknowledgement, recognition, and acceptance of that eliminates the duality, brings the experience instantly into an experience of oneness. And what's another name for that? Love. You take off the mask of what is the perceived enemy, and all there is the light. But we have to do this. We have to do it in consciousness. We have to hear the truth, really hear it, and then make it our own. And I don't mean that in a human possessive way. Make it your own. Own it. Own it. Let it be real as you. And then you will see the harmony seemingly restored, and that brokenness restored to wholeness. The separation will dissolve. And maybe nothing will change in the appearance, image-wise. The picture may not even, none of the images in the movie may change at all, but your experience of it will change. Because you will not be experiencing it as from within that separation. Because the only way to experience separation, you have to be in it yourself. In order to experience a dream, you have to be consciously in the dream.